Like, what do you?
Okay,
Look at you. See, this is how you do it.
if I don't, I will sit there and
Ramble.
stand.
Yeah, that's good. Got it?
You'll be in just a minute.
No problem.
Don't know which kind of end that you need. Got a couple here.
It'll be, I think so. I do believe.
First, right?
I believe.
Here's the agenda. You see
Sherry,
this?
well,
You're not exactly first,
Oh,
so
that's
they'll go through, this will go super quick.
Okay.
They'll just approve the agenda, open a meeting, pledge of allegiance, approve the agenda, this will go super quick. And then Craig Welling is doing some kind of check presentation.
Oh, awesome.
They're recognizing the special ed tracking group, whatever. And then Kai Barker, so that'll be 5 minutes for all of that. And then,
Okay.
so it should be super quick.
Thanks.
Hey Travis. How are
we're gonna have to look at that. Does this-
Yeah, but like during
I don't know.
Oh, no, I'm already
Sure.
there.
Hello. Correct. When we present, will we be here?
It'll be a lot easier. So then you can just sit down.
That's nice. Because otherwise I'm actually.
Just make sure. The mic does a pretty good job, but who's ever speaking?
Your brains, you where to find this?
I'm not gonna sing. She's got a little bit loud voice.
He does.
So.
Do you know this
can't
happens
really-
all the time at volleyball? I like yell at the girls and I'm like, "Hey, serve the ball!" And then
He'll
time to
say one
serve.
thing.
He says it one time. Tara and I both will yell it like 5 times and they don't hear us. And I feel like I'm yelling as loud as I can. Men's voices are just that deeper voice is so much easier. Even when Rob yells during basketball, I'm really
So,
scary.
do you want me to sleep this until,
Yes, first. Oh, we are, but
do you want me to unplug?
You can unplug.
Okay.
Just the rest of this, and then it'll be literally just
I
plug and
see it?
play. Did you need this?
sure. Why not?
Okay. You're set.
Okay, so through that, that's what I'm looking at. So those are the projected graduation numbers for sophomore, freshman, 8th grade, 7th grade,
For
6th grade.
next year.
Well, this isn't, so if you look, so as compared to this year's graduating class was 163. So basically, next year, well, I'm using it as we've got a population that we're going through. 17 and projected 24. That's, and I use that number from that spreadsheet. Okay.
And that's just the spreadsheet, so we can.
It could be more.
There's probably some.
I'm gonna say 6 years ago. We didn't know what the CT was. So it took us a year to kind of get an idea of what the, but we have seen this, basically in the last 4 years, we have seen steady decline. On top of it. Certainly we've had some exceptional college volleyball players, but on a whole, that level, our level has not been because of our middle school coaches, because that has stayed consistent. We don't, like I said, we attribute it to the loss of one more.
I personally
Basically, we had to evaluate those freshmen coming in with 3 days.
yeah.
We
And
have-
that
We have open gym.
which helps, but not when you show up. Well, not every single week. Still try and show up.
We have 3 days.
Like,
How many coaches do you have? High school coaches. Yeah, all of that, and that's what comes up in this. Yeah, we're on par, with, and that's what I would talk about. I'm not, I don't want to even hold us to that. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Coming to this one, benefit, clear, focus, and skills. More than one. The scrimmage.
Really all I can is I have to keep going so scrimmage, but I always, everywhere, have someone who's hurt, someone who can't play, and it's so better. It really is. It's hard to, well, it's really hard to, volleyball, you have to have 2 sides to actually have a functional full game. Like, I can toss the little balls all day long, but it's not going to help me. Like, how much,
That's the quote that she used. By the time we get to high school, we've promoted our community programs. We've brought in our building, culture, and the high school.
We're not all gonna fit in one row. We've got a lot of people here.
well, we don't know.
Well, she was kind of calculated.
First one,
Yes, I'll split you.
Good, trying to do that.
And so can you? Taylor was the first category. We have not placed. Okay.
And we had to go across the river to grab it. Isn't that wild? So there was only one that went to the backyard, the rest, the two went.
You've always done that though, Matt. He worked for your teacher, you did it.
I know, she said. I'll give you a hug. What's going on? I know. Sounds like Robert Campbell. Yeah. How you doing?
And but the other ones, and but he said that the varsity from the dog to me. I was like, well, they're probably much better than they are right now.
Yeah.
I said, so they're going to have the day. He said, Dad, do they play baseball? is
Yeah.
the small schools, they played so far.
Yeah.
If they're a worse player, would be our best player.
And that's what Mandy was saying, that the girls, was the same. Yeah, he said the front team. Was it girls? And then it was like 6'5", 6'6". And then it reminds me of that girl. Where's, where, was that Pleasant Grove?
Yeah, Pleasant Grove,
Yeah, but she was like 6'7".
Yeah, she was like 6'7".
Yeah, she played everybody, and I was telling her, Mandy, I was like, yeah, I played this girl in high school, some local river, because that was what we were spreading into, and she was just like,
She was.
I would have like at her hips, you know.
Well,
She said the girls were all
because
scared.
The coach, when we played in July, the children, she played it every quarter. She played all the softball quarters, all the junior quarters.
They don't have to abide by Wyoming rules.
No, they don't have to. And
That
when
same
we go to
girl,
Utah,
like
we
the
don't
girl
have
I
to.
played against, or the
That same
other-
girl.
Yeah.
But when we played them, now I don't remember which, because you guys didn't. We didn't go until your senior
No.
year, so it was when you guys were juniors or
Yeah,
sophomores.
she was what? Yeah.
And she played in every minute of every game.
I just remember she was huge. She was like, I was
I think
scared
her
of her.
last
I just
name's
remember-
Lamborn, I think.
I can't remember if you, but I don't remember. If you said it, I think I recognize it. I don't know. It could be it. I don't know. That was so long ago.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It was like Jennifer.
What street are
His first name.
Is it Stan?
But yeah, it's been fun. It's been seeing Cody too.
Yeah, that's good.
I work nights.
She's passed up. She's doing pretty good actually.
I work,
That's good.
In the grand scheme of things, it's us.
I will be out.
What?
It's not the other way, so.
Tomorrow I'm off from.
Very good.
Thank you.
Hi, Linda. How are you, bud?
Very sounds good.
I was gonna say, you guys can take my call.
Okay.
Do you need any?
It's Cap.
There's so much more.
Landon, your mom is great. Now she owes you some stuff. She said.
Ground beef.
Have a good one today? No. I'm so tired of the CTE collection, I can't. I worked on it 2 until just now. And I got 4 pages done, like 25.
There was like 5 swears.
I'm down to the last page 19.
There was something, because there was a couple swears, so it was like 5.
I'm gonna see if I can access it from this computer. If I can, I can do the next piece. Just choose there.
I just think it's slower.
Did you? Just from my angle.
Her sister can cheer.
Sometimes after, can be the case, huh?
So it was
37 years old now.
doing a lot of things.
Friday, end of the day Friday.
That bowl up there,
Yeah.
oh, except when I do it, certain
How's your dad doing? He's up here, of course, the other night.
Yeah.
She talked to him for about 10 minutes, so.
Oh, yeah, that's what he said.
One of them.
Oh, no.
Rob has a card. I don't have a card.
There's something about this.
He tried to tear me. That was the worst I've ever seen him golf. And he's not even, I mean, he's like an okay golfer. It's not like he's a great golfer. But it was horrible. Like, he was like hitting trees. He was getting so bad. But he hadn't golfed forever.
Yeah,
At that
since
point. It was the
then,
first
last
one.
year.
I think he never gone to that course. He was so, and I get frustrated. That's why I don't me. I was like, don't talk to me. Yeah, it is. And I feel like
There was a grant.
athlete, you should be able to figure it out. You know, that's like
It's,
smart. And I feel like there's so much variability with that, like with wind, just like swing and just
There was because here's the grant.
Margin of error.
yeah.
the best. So this year, so I had pretty good coach. You know, Scott's always drew confidence about it. But I had graphic shot to have good for coaching. And Scott's like, eventually, you swing too hard for those clubs. You need to get clubs. So this year I said, man, screw it. I was like, I'm getting that. I'm going to.
I thought it was spent.
Measuring all that stuff. And so I went down there and I spent $1,200. So I got the pings. I didn't get the blades. I didn't get the really forget the ones right in the middle. And it's literally changed my name. It's 2 or 3 clips difference.
I kind of shifted that to your to-do.
Yeah, so the guys, so they measured, the guy's like, listen, I don't need you to like cut it off and let my hair. I said, that's basically cheating. Because they can do it where it takes an hour or 2 hours to totally fit it. I said, what are the 2 big things that you do for fitting? He's like, so we're gonna shaft stiffness and length. And so he measured me, got me on the simulator, spent about 3 minutes. He's like, listen, you don't need to keep going. He's like, I could cut these down, but he's like, you're good enough that your assessment will be taken. And he's like, we just need this stiff shaft. And then different sheets that we have to fill out. He's like, you're good to go. And I said, okay. So I got him, and it's only 2 first difference. Where I was at, I mean, and that's my thing. So when you go, like, you can miss a little bit, and it pretty much stays right there. It's crazy. And then I had no putting on my ladder was super tall. I was like, those spots together. And it's just balanced so stinking good. And I did the whole wedges.
Odyssey.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah. And so it's but the biggest thing is like, if you can smash these things, I can break them. You're not forgetting.
Yeah,
And that's the biggest thing. Is like, I'll hit a shot.
sure, I don't want to break those.
Yeah, and I just feel like back, and I think that's what's like helping. Because I don't. It's not like you're a pro and you basically got going on to keep it. You just got to be trained to do the
Is this one mine or is this one mine? Where's my name at?
Right there.
This one?
That one's mine, this one.
Early onset dementia.
I know, where is Miss Ally now? I missed her already.
I know, me too. How you doing?
I told her to
Take notes for you. Questions? Missing Dave? Missing Dave?
I guess so.
Missing Dave and Dan. We do have a quorum, I guess we can get started.
Twice, so pick me up, Dad.
You're on your own.
Thanks.
Every once in a while, I gotta hear that little flash down the column. I try to write up music and go. All right, it is 6:04. We can go ahead and get going with that quorum, so waiting on Dan and Dave. So welcome, everybody. Happy to see. Oh, he's here now.
Yeah, I slid
Oh,
right
okay.
in. Yeah.
Again, early onset. Hush one over the crowd. All right, Welcome, everybody, to the school board meeting tonight. I'm going to call it to order. I need a motion to go into the Union County School District Number 1 Board of Trustees School Board meeting.
Second motion.
Motion. All rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Fantastic. It's nice seeing all these people here. Okay, I need a motion to approve the agendas for tonight's meeting.
Second that motion.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda items. A, the minutes from 5/14/2024. B, payment of bills. And C, special education excess of equipment.
So moved.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? None? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. All righty, we can move on to presentations.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, I'd like to invite to the stand Mr. Craig Willing, a past member of this board, who has a presentation. Mr. Willing.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, pleased to be here, standing upright.
Yes, sir.
As I was approaching this building and reminiscing a little bit, I got doing some math of when I was first elected to the school board and sat where you're sitting to today, and I realized it'd been 41 years, and I thought, my gosh, maybe I better take the elevator instead of the stairs. But I see several of you, a few of you predate me, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I am here representing the Marion and Gay Dunning family. Just for my interest's sake, how many people here knew Marion and Gay? 2, 3.
I knew us.
Well, in order for me to give a proper presentation, it won't be long, I need to, or at least I wish to, give kind of some history of the school district and where all this stuff fits in and where Marion fit in. When I was first elected to school board, there was a high school building right over on this side. And for our board meetings, we would put together folding tables and folding chairs and sit and look down on the audience, and that's how we'd make our decisions and take the actions that we needed to take. During that time, we renovated this building, and as I thought about this building, I remember it being my old junior high school. I'm sure Danny and Janice may remember those days. The point of interest is there are 2 sets of staircases going down to the lower floor and 2 going up to the upper floor. And one set of stairs was designated as the up only, and the other one was the down only, and also going down. And on the middle floor, there was Principal Robert Jorgensen that had a switch that was about 3 inches wide and about ½ inch thick and I think about 6 feet long. And he was there to remind us that number 1, he was in charge, and number 2, if you took the wrong stairs in the wrong direction, he'd remind you with a gentle reminder in the back of the pants. There were 2 other switches in this building, and they all resided on the bottom floor. One belonged to Don Barnard, who would be Paul Barnard's dad, who was the science teacher. And the other one belonged to the infamous Jerry Parker, the football coach of times gone by. And his paddle was 6 inches wide, and I don't know how long that was. But he taught geography, and when he would come in and give the class the assignment, and then he'd leave for about 20 minutes, and then he'd kind of come and peek around the door. If anybody was misbehaving, he would front and center them, let them take a bow, and give them something that they'd remember clear to this day. The school that now is the Evanston Middle School was at one time high school, and that was dedicated to the class of '69, which was my graduating class. And we attended half the year over here and then half the year down there. As I came on the school board, the Uinta Meadows building was finished and being attended. Davis Middle School was just on the edge of being done. And so our board built the Aspen Elementary, the north. Mr. Thomas, I think you either taught there or the principal or both.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we built the infamous gem of the district, the Evanston High School. That's where Mr. Dunning comes in. Marion was hired to be the clerk of the works, which means he was one that worked with the superintendent, Jacobson Construction out of Salt Lake, that helped us build the high school. And part of Marion's duties was to oversee and look at the contractors, make sure they were building within spec, make sure they're building within time frame, and making sure that they kept the state fire marshal happy. And so he was kind of known as a rough around the edges type of guy, and he enjoyed that reputation. But as I interviewed Sam Hatch, and I'm guessing that some of you know Sam Hatch, who also worked for this district, Sam made the comments that, I saw Marion not just on one occasion, but on several, would take some money and go pass it to different individuals that he saw that were in need or that were having a hard time in their lives, to kind of try to help them through it and help them get going again. And so that kind of reflects the inner part of Mr. Dunning and the gift that he had. And so probably one of the things that amplifies that gift or that tender heart of his around his rough edges was he approached me because I was a New York Life agent and he wanted to buy a policy, a life insurance policy on himself. And he made this district the owner of the policy as well as the beneficiary. And by doing that, it couldn't be changed. He couldn't change his mind, his wife couldn't change her mind. And so he paid that premium until February 8th of this year when he passed away. Now, the policy wasn't a huge amount of money. The check is for $23,910.42. But for him, that was quite a sacrifice in his time and his income and the needs of his family. And so he did that, and at his passing, then of course, I had to take over and do this to represent his family. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to approach and present this check to you.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Yes, that's gigantic, so
Thank you.
thank you.
Just one other point I'd like to make, and that is, there are two issues that Mr. Dunning was concerned about in terms of the use of this money. And one was the potential use of those funds for kids that didn't have enough to eat while they're at school, or for scholarships of maybe a needy child or 2 or 3 or however you work scholarships to help them advance and move on in their education. So if you folks deliberate a little bit about those things and try to apply those monies in an appropriate fashion, I'm sure that him looking down upon you would be grateful.
So he's leaving it up to the board itself, the board of trustees, on what to do with the funds.
Sure.
He didn't have anything specific.
You know, I've been working specifically with Jared Schofield, that's an executor of his estate, and he says there's really nothing defined other than what he was verbally telling me and them, so those were the two things.
No, I'd love to see this last as long as we possibly could, and that's something we will discuss.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to spend it all at once. I think we need to keep his name in mind and maybe offer a scholarship or underneath his name that we can carry on for several years and maybe a couple of decades for those kids that are well-deserving of it, so.
I hope Danny outlives that.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No, fantastic. That is so awesome. So, going on to the next presentation, the EHS Unified Track and Field Team.
Mr. Drew, hop up here.
Yep. Okay. Do you want me to face?
Either way.
Come on up, you guys come on up here. I'm just gonna turn this a little. Is that all right?
That's good, yeah.
Here, you guys
We
can
can all
stand
come up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're okay coming up front,
Yeah.
Dave, we'll put them up here on the stage so they can
Okay.
face everybody. So, how are you guys?
You want to say anything? Well, first of all, I'll stand up here so I feel tall for once. First of all, thanks for having us. Special Olympics, you know, Mr. Williams got this going again about 7 or 8 years ago. It took a long break for several reasons, but me and Mr. Berger tried to get it back forever, and then finally Mr. Williams and Coach Freeland got it going again, and we got back involved in it. And from day one, the support from the board, the superintendents, our community, our SPED directors, it's been top notch. We couldn't be where we're at today without the support we've had from everyone in this room. Mr. O'Neill is really supportive of our program. We are one of the only schools that treat it like a school sport. So we get busing and help with hotels and meals and all of those kind of things, where other districts are struggling to get teams to come to the Special Olympics because it's all volunteer basis. So a lot of thank yous to help this program where it is today. So specifically for the Unified State Track Meet, you know, this has been in the works for several years. When Mr. Berger was the head track coach, he tried to get this going, but it just never happened. And then myself and a couple of these athletes, Breyer, we've been to these leadership councils, the USA Games, and it's huge on the East Coast. And so the new CEO of Special Olympics says we have to get unified sports in the state of Wyoming. So they've been trying for the last few years, and finally this year they made it happen, the WHSA, Special Olympics. They put it together, trial run, and man, it couldn't have gone any better. We have a huge unified program, and we've been the best in the state for the last 7 or 8 years of getting our kids to compete with each other. And it's really frustrating at times because we have to go compete against ourselves because there's no other unified teams, which on one hand it's great, but on the other hand it's like, come on, you guys got to get going. And so with this event and the way it was ran and the support we had from everybody at the state track meet, the officials, you know, Trevor Wilson, the WHSA president, they're like, this is one of the coolest experiences we've ever had. So for us, I told them this at the banquet, the thing that, you know, brings me like the most joy is we've been saying we're the best, and we finally got a chance to prove that we were the best. And from now on, it's history. The first unified state champ in the state of Wyoming is the Evanston Red Devils. And so super proud of these guys.
Can you introduce them for us, please? And then
Yes.
explain where they ran? I think that was really
Okay.
cool too at the state meet.
Yep, so this is one of our seniors, this is Briar Faddis, and Briar's been involved in the program since it started, so he's grown up with us. And so he did the shot put and the 400 meter, and he was on our unified 4x100 relay team. So Briar's been a big part of the program, we're gonna miss him. So he's been our ambassador for the last year in the Youth Leadership Council, and so we're really going to miss Briar, and he's been a big part of our program, so thanks, Briar. This is Shane Ruth. Shane, he is a junior, and he ran the 100, and he threw the shot put. So he helped score points in there. He's been a part of the program the last 4 years. Shane is taking over for Briar, and me and Shane and Jovi, we're headed to Madison, Wisconsin on June 25th for our leadership conference with Special Olympics Wyoming. So proud of Shane, proud of Jovi. So that's Shane. This is Mr. Teffel. He's leaving us. He's a senior. He's been with us since the beginning, and he did the 100, and then he did the long jump at the state track meet. And he's a slow starter, but once he starts, he's going, and he had that straight away, and he was a little ways behind everybody else, but man, that crowd was huge, and once he started running, it just got loud in there, and he had the biggest smile on his face, and I think he was milking it. He was taking his time on purpose, and he so he knows what's going on, and but it was really fun for Landon. This is Evan Elliott. He's a freshman, moved in from Lyman this year, has really been a big part of our program through the winter and the spring, and he's got some wheels, but he did the 100 4x100 relay, and he also did the long jump. Then we have Hunter Brown. He's a sophomore, and he did the long jump, and the 100 meter race. And then this is Jovi Quillinan, and she's one of our unified athletes. She's a junior, and she'll be, like I said, on the council. She did the 100, the 4x1, and the long jump. So it's kind of cool because at the state track meet, they set it up just like every kid was in a heat, and then didn't matter if you were a unified athlete or an athlete, you just did your best and you scored points for your team just like a regular track. And they really didn't keep score, but it wouldn't have been close. We blew everyone away, so because we scored in every event, and we were the only team to score in every event. So really proud of our program, really proud of our kids. You know, we do well athletically, but the biggest thing for these guys and for us as coaches, all of us coaches, when we go places, it's like, man, your kids are awesome. Your kids interact with each other. They treat each other with respect. We were at a hotel in Gillette the week before at the Quality Inn, and the manager came up to me and she said, hey, I just want to let you know we have hundreds of school teams stay here every year, and your kids are the best kids we've ever had. They interacted with the other customers. They made them laugh. They played cards together, and man, you should be proud of that. And so that's what we're really proud of with these kids. They're just good kids too. They represent Evanston the right way. So thanks again. We appreciate all your support, and it was a really awesome experience to be the Unified State Champs.
I would like to tell this group how proud I am of them, and especially one of them. I taught him in second grade, and that's Briar Faddis, and he is awesome, and it's been fun to watch him all these years.
That's great. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dave. Yeah, the commitment you guys have is absolutely amazing, so thank you.
Dave, you're welcome to stay, but we understand if you can't. So.
Okay.
Just don't get up when, you know, right in the middle of something. No, you're welcome to stay, and thanks for coming. Appreciate it so much.
Why did you say, no, you have to stay there.
Nice job,
I can
guys.
never get anybody to stay. Thank you. They empty out. Thank you so much. Hey, parents.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Nice job.
Huh. Kind of like a typical Barker thing, isn't it? Yeah. Can we push it down a little bit?
Yeah.
It might be like a half hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Standard time.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So, we might rearrange things. He might end up showing up at some point, so.
Do you want me to text him? He's probably playing softball with the boys.
They're out of town.
Oh, guys,
they
out of
are?
town.
Family vacation.
I'll, if it's okay,
Yeah, you can represent them. Come stand up here on behalf of the Barkers.
I'll have to stand on the stoop too to
Yeah.
recognize the Barkers. Just wanted to recognize Kai, outstanding athlete, but just an outstanding student and a great kid. And he was state champion in the high jump, pretty impressive. Very fun to watch him. Wish him well. I believe he's going to Weber on a track scholarship. Joined the family. That's where Roy and Amber met, and that's where Stacia's at. And we wish him well. But pretty impressive. Had an impressive year all across in everything he did. So congratulations, Kai Barker.
You know what the height is?
6'6", I believe. 6'6".
6'6".
Okay, just curious.
I think he had a high of 6'7", but he won it with 6'6".
6'6" there.
Yeah, that's great.
But going to Weber State, what's really awesome about him is that they picked him up as a decathlete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's gonna, as a decathlete at that level, so that's pretty impressive, so. Okay, that finishes with our presentations. We will move on to our discussions items. I'm feeling my 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll re-say that. We will move on to our discussion items.
Aaron and Matt, come on up. I assume you guys were presenting. Yes. Okay, good.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for affording us the opportunity to present to you what we have established as reestablishing an opportunity. I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Matt Peterson. I'm the JV volleyball coach at Evanston High School. This is Aaron Kirby-Watsubaugh. Currently our C-team coach. Our head coach, Tara Lawler, unfortunately is on vacation, and we tried to get on the May agenda, but it seems like it was quite full. And so we got pushed to, but I know I do believe, Mr. Thomas, that she's on the July board meeting. So
She's always welcome.
Yep. So that if there's any, if there's anything that you need to hear from her as, the representative of the program, certainly she'd be glad to come in and answer any additional questions if need be. So I present to you these numbers, and on the outset they are going to mean nothing to you. But when you look at them, basically what you're looking at is the projected enrollment going forward for next year's sophomore class, next year's 9th grade class, next year's 8th grade, 7th grade, 6th grade. Okay? And certainly we know, and you're well aware, that we always have fluctuations in those. If they, like I said, if they stand pat, we've got quite a population bubble coming through the district. This year's graduating class was 163 students. Next year's, I do believe, is 178. Okay, and I show you this as part of kind of the evidence or the need for our request to reestablish an opportunity. Currently, we have 17 girls in the sophomore class that play volleyball at Evanston High School. And when I say that we are asking to reestablish an opportunity, really what we're asking you to do is to not we're not looking for, a greater piece of Mr. O'Neill's budget. We're asking for you guys to add in addition to that budget. Mr. O'Neill has been nothing but a friend to the volleyball program. And we're not asking him to take away from other programs to give to volleyball. What we're asking of you is to give more to the activities program so that we can reestablish the fourth volleyball team at Evanston High School. Okay. Next year, projected, we have 24 incoming freshmen that are projected to try out for Evanston High School volleyball. Okay. You take that and you add the 13 juniors and seniors that are currently in our program. Potentially, and I say potentially because certainly there's a plus or minus, of a couple of students each year. But potentially next August, we're going to have 54 girls in the gym. Okay, currently for 3 levels. Okay, our C team, freshman, sophomore mixed team, our JV team, and our varsity team. So I kind of go to the history here. And kind of how did we get to this point? Okay, it goes back to the 2018-2019 budget, where Mr. O'Neill was asked to make some hard cuts. And like I said, where those cuts basically came down to was eliminating the sophomore programs of volleyball, girls basketball, boys basketball, and eliminating a 4th wrestling coach. Certainly it came to fruition for volleyball, girls basketball, boys basketball, based on a 40 participant threshold. Wrestling was allowed to keep their 4th coach. And we have, like I said, we have complied with that for the last 6 years. Okay, we're getting to a point right now where what we would like, again, is to reestablish that fourth level. Not necessarily as a sophomore program. Okay, a current trend in the state right now is to establish what's called a JV2 team. Okay, if we establish it as a sophomore level, we're obligated to play only sophomores. If we establish it as a C team, then it's sophomore freshmen, based on the state bylaws. If we call it a JV2 team, we can open it to juniors, to sophomores, to freshmen. So we have more flexibility. Okay? Like I said, we asked of this reestablishment to do what's best for kids. Okay? And to be in line with our other 4A opponents. I show you this graph. Okay? I show you the teams in our conference. This year, Rock Springs, Star Valley, Green River, Riverton, Jackson, Natrona, and Kelly Walsh will all be in the West 4A. And the number of teams, okay, and the number of levels that they have at each of the high school, and the number of coaches, paid coaches, that they have. I backtrack, let me digress on that. The number of coaches they have. Natrona, Kelly Walsh, one of Natrona's coaches is a volunteer. 2 of Kelly Walsh's coaches are interns. So they have 5 paid coaches at Natrona. They have 5 paid coaches at Kelly Walsh. They have 5 levels. Okay, they have varsity JV, JV2, freshman, and multiple freshman levels. Okay, like I said, Jackson has 4 levels, 3 coaches. Okay, Rock Springs, Green River, you can, like I said, you can see. And then I go to the east side, and I show you Laramie, I show you Campbell County. Thunder Basin did not respond back to us, but it's going to be in line with Campbell County of the five levels and the 5 paid coaches. Okay, Laramie has 6 paid coaches. And then I go and I include our nearby 3A schools, Lander, Lyman, Mountain View, Cody, and Rollins. And you can see where we currently right now okay, fall in line with. That basically we fall in line, even though we don't compete at the 3A level in volleyball, we are in line with 3A volleyball. Okay, but like I said, for us to continue our kind of our culture development that's been developing over the last couple of years, we're asking to get in line with our fellow 4A. Okay, so we get into the benefits here. Certainly, with a 4th level, we get additional participation. And we go back to the 2018-2019 season. Certainly, that was we can chalk that dynamic of creating the C team, because eliminating the sophomore team, we created the C team. We didn't know what that was going to look like, how that was going to function, and it was kind of a chaotic mess. Okay, the next year after that, certainly we saw other schools and how they treated it and learned from that, and we were able to refine it. Up to the 2018-2019 school year, Evanston volleyball had finished twice at state, twice at the state level. We'd finished 3rd 3 times at the state level, and our last, certainly unofficial, was the 2019-2020 or 2020-2021 season, where we finished 5th. We lost in the consolation. Okay, but since that time, we have seen a steady decline in our program, and it's not, we can certainly say, you're going to have those that say, well, what's going on at the middle school level? It's not at our middle school level. Our coaches at the middle school level have been consistent year after year. They're, like I said, some of the same coaches that led to our success, okay, up to 2018-2019, the same coaches that we have currently. What we want to, what we attribute our decline is to the loss of that additional season. Basically, with freshmen coming in, we basically have 3 days to try to evaluate a talent level with our tryouts. And having kids of your own, that at the freshman level, they're not fully developed. A lot of times they're uncoordinated, and like I said, that's a hard evaluation to make. And certainly this year, with 24 of them coming in, it's hard to evaluate 24 individuals. And so we're asking, like I said, to reestablish that 4th level, to give us some flexibility to give some of these young ladies an additional season to develop. Okay. In a typical year, we will carry between 15 to 18 girls on our JV and varsity levels. And a lot of times that's predicated on the number of seniors we have. For this upcoming season, we have 3 seniors. Last year, we had 1 senior. Okay. Coach Watson-Bogg usually carries 12 on her C team. That could be 12 freshmen. That could be 10 freshmen and 2 sophomores. Okay. Currently, we have not had any sophomores. We have not had any sophomores on a C team. We have allocated sophomores to the program. Okay, but they chose to not be part of the program rather than face that. I guess that being delegated to that level, to that team.
In my opinion, they view the sophomores that we've kept to keep them on C team to grow another year, because they're not quite JV level yet, view it as a bad thing, because we always do 2. We never just pick 1 sophomore to have to be with the freshmen, and they always quit because they feel like it's a bad thing to be with freshmen. They don't want to play at that level again and feel separated from their other teammates that they were with the previous year.
And like I said, it's not just 2. I mean, like I said, it could be,
Yes.
it could be 3, it could be 4. But like I said, they've always chose to not accept that, to see that as a demotion rather than an opportunity to grow. Okay? An additional benefit would provide our freshman team an opportunity to have someone to scrimmage against. Okay? Like I said, being able to develop an additional season worth of one-on-one contact with not just one coach but 2 coaches, to be able to focus on skills, to be able to have game experience coming into the JV and coming into the varsity level, is insurmountable. I mean, the better the competition you play, the better the more you grow, the more you develop. And it's quite a jump to go from freshman volleyball, the speed and the competition level, to go from freshman right to a JV level, and then to go from JV level to varsity level is even another acceleration. One of the things that has been requested of us as coaches, and this has come from Mr. O'Neill, and I think it might have been an indirect directive from you guys, was to improve the culture of our athletic programs. And I think one of the valuable things that he has done is brought in Don Julian from Sheridan High School, and has provided us some professional development in developing culture and developing, the camaraderie and the not only between coaches but also between in our program. And we have definitely embraced that as a volleyball staff, and we've reached into our rec center programs, we've reached into our middle school levels, and like I said, I know we have Kim here to attest, but our rec center volleyball levels in volleyball are greater than they've ever been. And our middle school rosters are, and like I said, Chairman Peterson, I think you can attest to this, Crystal being one of our coaches, that our middle school rosters are busting at the seams. The unfortunate aspect right now is that we have all these numbers coming into the program, but when they get to the high school, and I have the word home in quotations, because when they get right now to the high school, if we don't reestablish a 4th level, we're going to have no place to put them. There's not going to be a home for them. After going through the rec center programs, after going through the middle school programs, we're going to have girls that we're going to have to say, I'm sorry, we don't have a place for you. And like I said, for us, that's not what's best for kids. And so again, that's why we're here presenting to you. An additional benefit would be athlete safety and well-being. Having a 4th coach. Currently, right now, with 3 levels, there's times where Coach Watson-Baugh has to travel with the freshman by herself. If there's an injury, if there's an emergency, she has no one right now to turn to. Not every athlete's parents travel, and we've been fortunate enough that we haven't had a major injury, but we know that time is going to come. That we've had to turn to somebody else's parents to take an athlete to the hospital. And so having that 4th coach would afford us the opportunity that, when it was applicable, that coach could travel with the freshman level as an additional kind of safety net. So to kind of wrap things up, okay? Basically what we're faced with if we don't reestablish a 4th level, we're looking at cutting 24 girls from our program this August. Okay? Like I said, we typically keep around 30 from the JV varsity and freshman level. With 54 girls coming into our gym potentially, and certainly, like I said, that's not a hard fact figure. We're basing that number on the attendance that we had this spring in open gyms, and the attendance that we've had going forward so far this summer in our open gyms. And we've had 24 different freshmen come into our open gyms to get touches, to get better. With our, like I said, with our current senior, junior, sophomores, like I said, we're looking at 54. This is unprecedented for us. And like I said, we haven't seen 50 plus since I believe it was the 2016-2017 season. I don't want to cut 24 girls. I don't want to tell 24 girls that there's not a place for you, that we don't have a home for you. Okay? Certainly, I would like to sit here and say I have an exact cost figure for you. Certainly the cost is going to come with increased officials. Certainly we're going to have, there's going to be a dollar amount for a coach's salary. If, like I said, if I was ballparking, I would say somewhere in probably the neighborhood of around probably $5,000. With, like I said, with officials, travel will be minimal because we're already going to, like I said, with the freshmen already. Like I said, the bus won't be an issue because we're already going. If, like I said, we take them to Casper, we're already staying, so it would mean an additional 1 or 2 hotel rooms. So there would be a little bit of a cost increase there. But I think, like I said, I think this is worth it. I think that, if we're doing what's best for kids, okay, giving a home, certainly we can't keep all 24, even if we have a 4th program. But that 24 is not going to be 24. And so, like I said, I ask of you guys to consider, to take it upon, deliberation, and I guess, Dave?
Yeah. Do you think the girls will be more receptive to staying on a JV2 team than a...
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
They're going to view it very differently.
That's what I wondered.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of middle school volleyball, and I don't envy you next year because there's a lot of good girls coming up on that team. 8th grade and the 7th grade isn't too bad behind them either.
8th graders are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've got a good thing going. We're starting to see, we just don't want it to, basically hit a major speed bump when they come into the high school.
So I do have a question. I'm not in opposition to this. It's just a question. We're here presenting volleyball. We have that same amount of girls in basketball. And are we going to do the same for boys basketball, for girls basketball, and for volleyball? As we go forward, right, we do one for one, we got to do it for all, right? So there's more than just volleyball associated with this.
Absolutely.
And so so as we move forward and we talk about this and discuss it, I see the situation, because I know there's a group of really good girls that are coming through right now, right? Down in the middle school level, coming up through here. And are we in a bubble? Hopefully we're not. I'm just saying. And then if we do for one, we're going to have to do for all. So the money that you're talking about is, yes, volleyball, but then we've got girls basketball, we got boys basketball as well.
And I think if that's the case, then let them come and make that request. If boys basketball wants that 4th level, let them come and make the request. If girls basketball wants that 4th level, let them come and make the request.
That's just the thing, is then we're gonna...
I completely understand. And like I said, this might be only, like I said, looking at the numbers, and I only projected them out to the 6th grade level. I didn't go any further than that. This might be only a 4 or 5 year bubble. And then we're 100% open to reevaluate. If the numbers don't warrant, then the numbers don't warrant. But like I said, for the next foreseeable future, we're in a potential We're in a potential bubble.
So what's the problem with just making it a sophomore team like we had rather than a JV2?
Like I said, it handcuffs us as far as being able to move, if we have freshmen that can warrant being moved up. Like I said, we can move those freshmen up. Honestly, it just gives us flexibility. Like I said, what you're seeing is, across the 4A level, they've eliminated that because like I said, it gives flexibility for currently right now we could not put a junior, okay, on the C team because, like I said, bylaws stipulated it's for sophomore and freshman only. And so, we may have, if we've got lots of juniors, and we want, there's some that are not getting playing time. Well, right now they're going to sit on they're going to sit on a bench and not get playing time because they can't play down. Certainly, we can play kids up, but we can't necessarily play kids down. And so, by having, like I said, creating a JV2 team that gives us ability to be able to play kids, on a down levels, rather than just have them sit, as a junior.
They're at least getting playing experience that way, so you get practice experience, but you don't get to play, which is obviously a huge part of how you grow as an athlete in general. So
it is, and I was a sophomore coach. Trust me, through the 4A programs, I was a sophomore coach. We had games early in the year at a couple of tournaments till after Christmas. There was nothing until we got into conference, right? So that's the other battle that we have, is those games scheduling, trying to get games for those kids through that time frame from the early on tournaments until we get into our conference play. And if they have sophomore programs, I didn't realize all the other teams had sophomore programs. But keeping them interested and focused, that they're just not practicing all the time, because it's just brutal as a coach and as a kid.
And I will tell you, as a parent, having a freshman this last year, there was many times, basketball-wise, where our freshman team had to play a Riverton or a Cody's JV2 team, or their what they would consider their sophomore team, because they didn't travel their freshman teams. And you want to see, disheartened kids when they're getting blitzed by 20, 30 points, because, like I said, the maturity level between sophomore and juniors and freshmen is astronomical.
well, and that happens with our volleyball C team as well. They primarily, unless it's a freshman tournament, when we go somewhere, they primarily play the JV team. Their JV2 team. And it's hard. I feel like all year I'm trying to tell the girls, it's fine, you just keep working, keep fighting, it'll work out. But when we go to the freshman tournaments, we do really well. They just don't, the kids can't see it that way. They just get disheartened and they start to give up. And it's hard as a coach. You don't want them to do that, but it happens. It's happened. I've done it for 2 years now. It's happened both years, and I try to say the same thing. But was actually even talked to my girls before about it, and it's hard. It's hard to keep them wanting to fight for it when they're getting killed by JV2 teams.
And I'd be certainly open to more questions.
Yeah.
Anything else? Done? All right, thank you.
It was great, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Time.
All righty, we can move on to discussion item B, recreation agreement.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, just kind of an update where we are. We've spent some time in executive session talking about the agreement and the direction you'd like to go. The plan is to present that as soon as possible to Kim and the city and get their response to that. I think more than anything else, you're aware publicly that we believe that this partnership's important. We've appreciated the rec center and the rec agreement and what it provides, not only the citizens of Evanston, but our students. And appreciate those of you that serve on the board and those that represent the school district on the board. So I will be taking the direction that you provided me, putting it in a document. I'll let you take a look at it, then I'll send it to Kim and the city, and we'll move forward with that agreement. Again, like I said, it's an important partnership.
All right.
Kim, do you want to add
No, I
anything?
just came in case you had any questions on last minute stuff.
Thank you for coming.
Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow, but I
Yes.
do value our relationship very much. So.
And you are welcome, like everyone else, to stay for the rest of the
Yeah, I probably.
They're not going to.
And I do
They're all
want to
gonna leave.
say, our rec center is just busy, busy, busy with those volleyball camps. I love it, because everyone goes outside and it's volleyball players, which is right.
Thank you, Kim.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? No?
I don't think right now, so.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll move on to discussion item C.
Mr. Williams,
Oh,
come on down.
he's my favorite though. You're my favorite.
We just
Did I tell you
get as
that?
excited about numbers as you do.
How much time do you have? Mr. Chairman and members of the board, in the last month, we talked a little bit and focused on expenditures and things, and tonight, kind of the focus is going to be on the revenue and what I'm seeing in the revenue. I can say that it right now is a moving target. I thought I had some numbers pegged down, and I went into the bank tonight, or this afternoon, and we'd received some more revenue that came in. And I'll,
Well, fantastic.
That's a good problem to
So
have.
did I.
it is a good problem, but I'll just kind of show you. Because we have a guarantee amount, you're either overshooting or undershooting the amount of money that you can spend and receive. So if you get more money, then, let's see, can we turn this around? There we go. If we end up getting more money than we are expecting, what it is it's money that's showing up early. It's money that was for the next year, that's showing up in May and June.
So we can't spend it.
Well, we really shouldn't. If we do, we can get in trouble and things. And so, and my hope is that we don't put ourselves in a situation. So, the first thing I'm just going to go quickly on some kind of important ideas. The first is, this is the amount of levy information. We do a 25 mil levy that the school district sets. This goes to the county. We've got a half mil levy that goes to the BOCES and another voter approved that goes, so it's 2.5 that goes to the BOCES. And then that recreation levy, the direction that I have right now is that will go to the rec center, and then from what, we will basically be reimbursed through use fees. So, just be aware. Okay, on your desk, you should have received something like this. This gives you the assessed valuation. There's two assessed valuations that are in play. One is the county, and the other's the district. The county is proportional to the number of kids we have. Roughly 65% of the kids in the district, or in the county, we get capture of the county assessed valuation. Okay? So that runs what gets taxed. All right? Now, you want to know how much is a mill? That's a really common question, and it's really easy to do. So if you see right here, 2023 is although we're in 2024, we're in the 2023 tax year. And for the district, all you have to do is take the bottom three numbers. So a mill this year is going to be $292,609. as of yesterday when I talked to them. And the county is going to be 486,226 times 65%. Okay? And you can kind of see what it's been historically. Now, for those that like pictures, this is the same, those numbers in graphical form. So what's happened is you see there was this section right here, which is a lot of, that was kind of the mini boom that you had, high mineral. We have right here, there's been a little bit of a decline. Yesterday I was talking to the assessor and she says the railroad came in a little bit soft compared to the year before. So that's just, these things are exactly the same chart, one's graphic. Okay, so let's just talk about how sausage is ground, but there's good information in here, okay? So your last presentation, they were saying, here's the numbers, what we think are going to be for the next few years. Well, guess what? This right here will give you, down here at the bottom, gives you the number of kids that we have in each of the grades, okay? So if you want to know, this is for this year, you could just go put it back 1 year, and it's saying that the 11th grade this year is 181. That'll be the senior class next year. Okay, so this is actually pretty good information, and then you can say how much is Clark and how much is you and me and things like that. All right. Now this is a copy of the 100. I put this information in. This is kind of what I'm currently running right now. One of the numbers that I'm running is this right here. Sorry, it's in 2-point font.
Yeah.
It's kind of a compromise of things. You can use
You can focus in, I think. You can enlarge. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay, yeah,
Just
okay.
under 40 million.
There we go. So transportation, there is a $500,000 that's higher than normal in this for the transportation lifts. We have to be careful that we don't look at this as ongoing money, okay? Because it's only one-time money and things. And so I kind of have been saying, hey, everybody, let's be careful on that. We also this year did not get any bus purchases. No buses came in on time. Okay, so we're not. That's usually a little bit higher, but it's usually whatever we spend is whatever we receive in revenue. So that kind of balances out. Okay. The next kind of page that's kind of important is the guarantee amount. Okay. That's the next page. What I do is I go down to this bottom and I see this is the amount of money that the state is guaranteeing. Now, what has happened is that the state has pulled a special ed out of there. So we got to add back special ed. So I'll show you how the calculation is. So that's 37 million. And it also, this number right here, I put in the tax information that we've received, and it says, hey, we should be receiving about 26 million in entitlement. That's state money. And then right now, according to the amount of taxes that we've received, we should be receiving about 11 million. Now, here's the caveat. Today I received a bunch of tax money. That hasn't been pushed in. And so what it's going to do is it's going to gross up or make bigger by about $1.5 million, this net excess collected. So that will drive this number down. This number, this 37 million, that's pretty much set unless we have changes in school ADM numbers. And I do know of one student that we're going to be releasing the ADM because they were an out-of-state placement for health reasons. And so that one's coming off and things. So let's go to the next page. This right here is a great page that kind of gives you what we are funded, not what we're spending. That's what this whole lawsuit's about, is what we're spending versus what we're funded. but it roughly tells you how many students that are in the model, how many professional staff, non-special ed, non-transportation that the model's funding, how much money that should cost, how many clerical and things, how many custodians, maintenance workers and things. And then it's funding 141 teachers. All right, this just gives you a rough estimate. Again, the whole issue on this funding lawsuit is, hey, if we followed the model exactly, we would not be able to afford teachers. They wouldn't be coming to our district at that. And so I don't really want you to get fixated on the FTE, but it will give you a rough estimate of how many regular teachers there are and things. But here's the $37 million, okay? All right. Let's then take that 37 million and take that, the next page is the guarantee. So all I'm doing is just taking that number and bringing it in. Special education is $8.5 million. And last year we got reimbursed about $7.7 million. Okay? And the reason why this is going up a little bit is because we've been moving some of the special ed the individuals into the general fund special ed reimbursement and getting them now, they'll be basically part of the general fund staff. And so it's really kind of one-time money on that, and that's why that's grossed up a little bit. Plus, we have CBAR-V placements. When we have CBAR-V placements, you can put a budget of $200,000 and it's just out the door. It's just amazing how much they can charge, but for needed services. Okay. In this last month, I found out that we are eligible for school safety funding. That's the state legislature has about $400,000 in money for concealed carry districts to spend. And what I've done is I've gone in and targeted things that I think can be reimbursed. And I think it's about $34,000. And I just got back from WASBO, that's my group, and they're saying that will likely be funded in special revenue accounts. So I'm going to pull that out. But what's in that? So there's added costs to training. So we can get reimbursed for that. We can also get added for like ALICE training. That can be reimbursed, as well as insurances. So there is a slight amount of money that is for, they raised the price on our property insurance. And I said, I think this should be reimbursed. And they said, absolutely, that can be reimbursed. And so we're ready to go on that. So I think that $34,000, it will either be pushing it into a special revenue fund during the year, or they'll reimburse to the general fund. I'll get more information on that. You get Wyoming retirement. So that's outside of the model. We do a little reimbursement, and that's just a back of the napkin estimate. Add all those together, you get $46.8 million of kind of guarantee amount and things. And then I have off-model revenues. So what are off-model revenues? They are things such as transfers. So we have $75,000 that's coming from the EBF to pay for the lifetime of service. I've also, because we have had $300,000 of the insurance, that we had an insurance refund. And we're taking over 3 years, $100,000, we're putting that in there. If we have a bus amount, that's in there. And interest income has gone through the roof. It's great. I feel like I can fund several extra teachers or amounts from that. And so, I'm close to $350,000 when a few years ago I was $35,000. Not all inflationary things are bad. And in this instance, that's actually a good thing. So we add that becomes 48 million. Then I pull off the net excess collected. This is money that I've received early. So it's money that I've received in May that belongs to next year. Now remember, I told you, hey, I got 1.5 million today. So this net excess collected is going to drive this predicted revenue amount down because we've already received it. It's like we've received guarantee amount today. Great. And so
For next year.
For next year.
Next year, yeah.
So my difference is right now 573,000, which is, remember I said there's a lift that we've got to make sure that we've got at least 500,000. That's where I'm kind of targeting. So that's where it stands right now. So this page right here, you can look through, is kind of, it gives you, back this up just a little bit. This gives you revenues in the past and kind of where we are right now, but know that the revenues will be adjusted a little bit. But they're adjusted because we've received money ahead of schedule. And so you can kind of see, I think the big one that if I was a board member I'd be interested in is that interest on investments, $345,000. And I think that's a conservative but good amount. Every bit that we can get means money that we can move to other accounts and things. So that's kind of the revenue in a nutshell with that. In terms of the schedule, I will be kind of working on the budget this week, and next week I'll put the notice in the paper probably at the end of next week. That lets the public know that we're going to be holding a budget. It gives a rough in the paper budget that you can see, and as well as some budget adjustments. The budget adjustments that we need to make sure that we do is we've got obviously the domes, and we've got the CBARV students and a few others, just making sure that we're in compliance with that. And then the audit should be in the second week in August. So we're kind of working on that. So in a nutshell, that's the presentation. Do you have any questions that I can answer? Or if you have questions and you want to, give me a call or, an email, stop by my office or whatever, you're welcome to. But are there any questions that can be answered tonight? Okay. All right.
That's great.
Hopefully they got information. I don't want to inundate you, but also I need to give you, here's how we're grinding the sausage, as I say. Okay?
Thank you. Any questions at all? Nope.
Chairman,
Thank you.
if I may?
Yes,
I'd
sir.
just like to recognize John for his work with the lawsuit. Very impressive in terms of his testimony, and probably more impressive is the information he provided the state in terms of where we are with cost of living adjustments in our county, and really how we compare or not compare with Utah teachers anymore. Very impressive, and my hat's off to John. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great job.
Hold on. All right, we will move on to discussion item D, policy parental rights.
Let me grab the plug and see if we can get it up.
Yeah, this is the fun stuff there.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, just a reminder, this is the parental rights policy that was part of legislation this year, and is required for us to have in place before July 1. If it's okay, I'm just going to give you the Reader's Digest version of this. We went through this last month. The good part, the promising part of this policy is it does give parents a guarantee that the curriculum that's taught in classrooms is what is approved by the state and our local district. There should be no diving into areas that aren't part of the state-approved curriculum. And specifically, in this policy, it deals with sexual orientation and gender identity. If that is to be taught, parents have a right to be notified. And it's very specific in terms of those timelines. We've talked in the past, there really is no reason to teach those subjects in our classrooms if they're not part of the approved curriculum. So anyway, that's the good part of this policy. There's a protection. The bad part of this policy is really the switch from a passive notification to parents to a more active notification to parents, which is fine. We've always been supportive of parents' rights. But now it's going to be the obligation of getting signed notification that they've received this policy, that they understand there's a complaint procedure, and they understand what the complaint procedure is. I don't anticipate a lot of violations of this policy, but it just puts it out there that we're on a razor's edge, and that if we do miss something, potentially there's an opportunity for a complaint that may go as far as local legal counsel, which, again, if we do something wrong, that's part of the consequence, but it's more likely that we'll forget something more than we'll do something wrong. For example, part of this policy is we need to identify for parents all the services that our nurses provide. Policy is very clear, first aid is good, but to identify all the things that we do for students, there may be a parent that doesn't want some of that to happen. They have the right to opt out, but that's a pretty tough ask, is if you have a student that's hurt and we provide some kind of care, we have to be really clear on what we notify parents about every time it happens. And so we're working on that right now as part of this policy. The other part of it, we've always, in our policies, in our handbook, are very clear that parents have the right to be part of their kids' education, and that'll continue. It'll just make doing some of the things we do more and more challenging. It's like any kind of survey that you give, the percentage of parents that participate are rather low. It's the same thing. If a signature is required, that's going to be a challenge. Just a little more work and effort. The complaint procedure is very clear and also potentially time-consuming. So we'll just have to see how it goes. So there's some good and there's some bad. As I mentioned, I did testify at the state level in opposition to this policy for that very reason. It's parental rights we support 100%, but don't put us in a position where we can get crosswise with little things that end up to take a lot of time and distract us from educating our kids. So in good faith, this has gone through Mr. Phillips. He has taken a look at it. I kind of laugh because this is undiscovered country moving forward, and we'll kind of learn as we go, I think. Mr. Phillips, do you have any comments?
No, I do have a question though, and I forgot to ask you this earlier, Ryan.
Okay.
In the complaint procedure, we outlined the hearing process. Is there a reason we don't just refer to our rules of practice there?
Probably the only reason is because we've taken this policy from Wyoming school boards.
And
it's roughly the same.
Had in there, huh?
It's roughly the same thing that we do. Maybe a little different, but similar.
Okay.
The problem is they had specific dates required here that our policy may not. So
Okay.
we just wanted to keep it clear with the dates that are required to hit certain points. That's really the challenge, is those dates. You have 10 days
10
here,
days,
14
7
days here.
days.
It's
30
not
days.
different.
Yeah, 15 is
So
crazy.
those are getting a little confusing, so we just felt it was important to put them in writing.
Well, and I don't foresee this really being a huge issue, because like you said, we've always supported parental rights on this. I think it needs to be stressed to the staff that as long as we're not deviating from the state's curriculum, it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. Shouldn't. And our plan really is, hopefully, we're going to do what we've done with FERPA. FERPA would put a notice in the paper in July, Then we let people know that it will be on our website. And then it'll be part of the registration process. When you sign your computer use document, there'll be another bubble there that says you've received the parental rights. You either waive your rights or you choose not to. And we hope that's a pretty good way to do that. I think Jaren's department has been really good, is after a certain number of days, if you haven't signed that agreement, your computer's shut off. So parents get on it, get it signed, so we're going to be a part of that. So electronic notification or signature is okay. There may be additional things that we may have to get other signatures. For example, the P&A, the Prevention Need Assessment that the state gives every other year. We dovetail on that for our AWARE grant, and we may have to figure out how are we going to get parent permission. It has to be written, it's no longer passive, to give those surveys. So again, there's going to be a growth curve, but I don't anticipate great things. I do really like the idea that cut and dry, you teach the approved curriculum, things will go well in your classroom. You get off, you may be on your own.
Sideways for you. Yep, that's good.
So my recommendation is you approve this at second reading. The next one is, if I may just keep going, is IKAER. This is the complaint procedures that Mr. Phillips was talking about. Really no changes to those that were presented to you last month. Just potentially a little scary, I think. Even for you guys, because you may be involved more than you want to. Yeah. So anyway, that's where we are. Any additional questions?
No.
You want me to continue on with the next one?
Yeah, we can move on to the JO and JOE student records policy.
Members of the board, the reason why we modified these policies at the same time is because there's a link. This is access to student records that parents have. We just wanted to make sure that we were dotting our I's and crossing our T's in terms of what we provide for records. So what's in red has either been just kind of revamped or added. I went into other policies, other districts, and just to clarify, this does get into FERPA a great deal. And again, FERPA is policy that we've really not had any trouble with. FERPA allows parents the right to opt out of directory information. We may only have a handful in the last 20 years that have opted out. Directory information can be as simple as a wrestling program that has the student's weight on it. It does, directory information by law, does provide some information that I've always kind of questioned is, do we want to really provide birth dates? But that's information that we would not provide unless there was a specific reason for it. We're just not going to have a parent come in and say, I'd like to have that kid's birth date. No, you don't need that directory information. But that information is available by law. Learned a new thing. Directory information is available to the military. Not as part of FERPA. It's another separate statute and law that military have access to all of our students' records. Kind of interesting. But you want me to continue? Any questions about student records?
No. Keep going.
Nope. Keep going.
Okay.
JOE.
JOE. JOE is an exhibition, is that right? Exhibit.
Exhibit, yeah.
Not exhibition.
Yeah, okay, careful, very, very careful. You're live.
What this is for is really kind of an outline of how we treat and deal with student records. So this is really at the school level with our secretaries and assistants on how we go through the process. So we will meet. I've sent this out to all secretaries and said, if you have any issues, let me know. If this is not what we're doing, let me know. But I didn't hear from anybody. We will meet with the secretaries to make sure that there are no gaps or holes in how we treat records. You can imagine student records are very confidential. Only certain individuals should ever look at them. Probably the only thing that's different that we haven't done in the past at all cases is if someone requests to see a student record, including a parent, we just need to have them sign that they saw the record for a reason. Same thing with a school employee, if they want to see a student's record, they should just indicate that they looked for it and why. Not all employees have a right to student records. Only those that deal specifically with those kids. So there is some protection with those records. And like I said, we've never had an issue, but we just wanted to make sure we were updated and we've talked about this. Any questions on JOE? No. Joe? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find the next one.
Title IX. Is it the newest version of Title IX?
Yes, hot off the press. No, that's not it. Oh, okay, here it is. Sorry. Just for everyone's recollection, if you remember, this is really not that long ago that this was before you originally. I think it was 21, 22. Is that right, Joe? Was that when it first came out? And so this is modification from the federal government. So while the big changes, probably, again, in a nutshell, this is scary and kind of a mess all over. But since 2021, we've only had a handful of situations where we've had to follow this policy. And I would say that we've received training to a level that we handled it quite well. Anytime there's a sticky situation with sexual harassment, or now it's sexual discrimination, we bring an outside investigator in. And so if it's a significant claim with a staff member on a staff member or staff member student, we bring in someone from the outside that support us in these investigations, experts from the outside, and they've been really pretty good. I think we've only had 2 that have gone to all the way to the end, and the result was positive. So if I can, what I'll try to do is just kind of hit the big points and the big changes. We're lucky that Mr. Williams and Dr. Ingalls seem to love this stuff, so we've sent them to week-long trainings, and I actually participated in a one-day training so we could update these policies. We've tried to include everything from the new update to clarify. We really didn't leave anything out. Probably more than anything, we have more information there we need to make sure we're covered. In terms of all these new terms, really the scope that has changed is they've made some things a little more challenging in terms of sexual discrimination, and then they've opened up some things in terms of sexual discrimination. There used to be a very cut and dry, these are the explanations for what sexual discrimination is. If you don't hit those marks, there's no need for an investigation. They've kind of opened those up a little bit, and so it may be more open to more sexual assault, sexual discrimination claims. There is a lot there. So what I would encourage you is take some time, read through this. Like I said, we did this afternoon, and so Mr. Phillips hasn't seen it. I'm sure he'll have some additions. The cases down at the bottom are not quite accurate yet because we just, like I said, made these changes. But relatively, our old policy was really pretty good. And so we just had to make those fine tweak changes. The scary thing with Title IX is I don't think the feds are done. I think you're going to see more and more Title IX regulations coming that will be challenging for a conservative community like ours. And so we will need to be aware of that. I think we're all clear on what the law is, but at the same time, I think as a board, I believe you're very clear on protecting the rights of all kids. And within those 2, I'm really pretty comfortable. And that's kind of where this comes down. I know that's pretty loose, a lot of information in a short time. Any questions, any concerns, anything that we can do as we move forward?
Done a lot of
Mr.
work.
Phillips will have this tomorrow, and once we start taking the parts we crossed out and looking at how folds, I'm sure we'll have some changes for next month. This is another policy that's required to be in place by August 1st. So second reading is scheduled for July. The state of Wyoming has filed a lawsuit against this new information. The challenge we face, our number one policy in our handbooks is we have to follow federal law. So it's still a law, even though Wyoming is suing. If there is an injunction, then we'd follow the injunction. But right now, we have to be in a position where we can have this in place by the deadline. Is that fair, Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, that's right.
Keep going?
Yes.
Okay. The next group deals with graduation, and I can see them. I'm just going to pick them out as they come. IKFA is our early diploma. If you remember, we had a student that was able to get an early diploma. To get that, they had to come to the board and petition for an exception to policy. Principal Lester and his staff went through this and felt that the additions that you see in red would help them deal with this. They have not. It still is a seven semester requirement. And now you can see that there has to be the specific reasons why you're applying for early diploma are there. One thing we probably do need to talk about, originally the early diploma policy is when you were awarded the early diploma, you gave up the right to walk at graduation. So that probably needs to be specified in here. I haven't had a chance to talk to the high school administration as if that's what they want. It kind of seems that where we've gone is if a student has reached that mark, let them walk.
That's, I think that's the case, especially if they're doing one of these things and there's so few of them, they still deserve to get what they earn.
As an ex-high school principal, the scary thing is you have no connection to those kids. So in terms of their behavior at graduation, you really have nothing.
But you, in theory, have had connection with them for 7 semesters.
7 semesters. But again, that very last graduation ceremony, they are truly emancipated from your school district. There's no consequence they face for poor behavior.
But I have to ask myself, what are the odds that a student that would excel and then be accepted in one of these programs would be one that you'd be worried about their behavior?
And we haven't had any. They've been exceptional. Actually, it seems there's been more that said, I'm done, I'm out of here, because they'd be in California in school. So they didn't come back and walk at graduation. So again, it's case by case, that part of it. I was glad that the individual that was successful after 6 semesters wanted to walk, because I think graduation from high school is an important step in your life, and I think it needs to be recognized. So that's kind of where we are with that. It sounds like the board might not be interested in an addition to the policy that says they can't walk. Okay. So that's policy IKFA.
IKFA, going on to IKFR.
Now this is IKF. This is our graduation requirements. And I can tell you that the high school over years have kept up with this document, just not at the board policy level. So we went through and made sure that we have all the correct terms. Actually, the body of evidence was on this. That red is where we took the body of evidence out. That was around when I was principal. So now it deals with advocacy. What's nice is we've had seniors in the past that have challenged us that there no way in policy talks about a senior project. Well, there has been, but it's on the other one that we're going to talk about. So now it's pretty clear. Senior project is required. Made it pretty clear. There is a document that you'll see in a minute, IKFR, which actually shows step by step what's required for the senior project. Very well done. Very clear that what's expected as a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior for that senior project. And in terms of a graduation policy that meets the standards of the state, we tried to simplify in some areas. But remember, this policy sits with a course description book that describes all these courses that are required. So when you hear terms like basket of goods, that's what this is referencing. This shows the basket of goods. It doesn't show the success curriculum, that's available, which is a higher level, because this is minimum standards to graduate from the state of Wyoming and Evanston High School. The difference with Horizon that you see is Horizon has 10.5 credits less in terms of elective credit. So that's why we talk about a comprehensive high school and then Horizon, which is an alternative. So that's the difference. Questions on IKF? This is an important policy. I'm glad to see it updated and now pretty clear, I think. Everything's required, what advocacy is. We try to get all the language out that had 21, which was the PASS program, and body of evidence.
Does that still, like, are we still making sure everything in there is included, like, for Hathaway stuff?
Yep.
All the
That's the
needs are met?
success curriculum.
Okay.
One more? IKFR is just what I mentioned before. These are the requirements, the advocacy requirements for the senior project. You can see that they've outlined it by freshman, sophomore, expectations. They're a quarter credit all the way through with final demonstration of the senior project. And again, if you've been up and watched those, they're pretty impressive. I think the kids do put time in them for the most part. Some don't, but that's what happens at school. But I think it's something we should be proud of our senior projects in terms of a demonstration of competency on those soft skills that may be hard to see in the classroom. So that is those policies, IKF, IKFR, and IKFA. That's all I have.
Nope.
For now.
For now.
Yeah.
Moving on to discussion items, Rocky Mountain Power Easement.
Oh, you need this. I just assume most board members want to read this policy.
Probably do. So Chairman Peterson, members of the board, Rocky Mountain Power is, I think, joining the rest of the utility companies and trying to upgrade the utilities within our high school. And so with that, naturally, when the high school was built, there weren't easements or anything orchestrated for our utility companies that they followed at that time. And so trying to keep them in compliance, but then also allow an opportunity for them to upgrade services. Rocky Mountain Power has come to me, presented kind of briefly what they'd like to do, and there might be a little bit of confusion, so I'm going to go to the last email that they sent me and really quickly kind of describe what it is that they're wanting to do. So currently, if you were to look at our high school, the way our power comes in actually comes in off of Cheyenne Drive, up Red Devil Drive, cuts across the grass there at the jock lot, follows the football field kind of parallel, then jumps kitty corner to the bleachers and follows that in between the shed and kind of the cement drip pen, and then cuts across the back of the new shed we put up and then comes into our power right there at the top of the hill. That is all direct buried. Was put in when the high school was put in, so it's been there almost 40 years. There have been occasions where we have unburied it. There's been occasions where others have unburied it. And naturally, being direct buried, it can be a little bit scarier than at least if something was in conduit and stuff with that. What Rocky Mountain Power would like to propose is actually bring So this is the South Stake Center right here where they've got a box, and they'd like to bring conduit. They actually have conduit here, but they do not have an easement with us, so they'd like to have an easement that pretty much grants them so they can get onto to their conduits there. And then continue that easement right here on the corner of Twin Ridge and Bodine, and then up the back side into the grass area along here up to this point. At this point, they would jump into the asphalt and they would actually parallel our blue storage sheds, our drip pan. Gas line is over here, our new water line is over here, and actually this is kind of our storm drain here. They like to parallel there until they can come into the box, put a conduit, and then bring in new wire, which would be a benefit for us if we ever need to upgrade services. The other benefit for us is they would actually end up putting probably right about here a box. So if there was any services that we needed to do in the future, so if we decided to do something in this area here, or ended up doing something on top of the practice field, it would actually be an excellent location for us to draw up another transformer and be able to increase our services and our capacity. So that's a kind of in a nutshell what Rocky Mountain Power has asked, and asking basically for the board to grant them an easement that would allow them to bring this conduit in and upgrade those services as needed. Are there any questions from you as a board with that?
This is something you would recommend?
I would highly recommend it. My biggest fear right now is that direct buried original power that's right there. And if there was anything that happened to that, our high school would be out. And it is a lot more difficult to be able to repair that than it is something in conduit. And so this also creates a loop, not only because what Rocky Mountain Power would do is they would come in and then be able to still continue to use that existing line, but they actually would have a continuous loop around the high school. And so if they need to shut off power over there by Big O Tires for some reason, we don't lose power, they could redirect it this other way, and vice versa. If something happened maybe at the care center just down below the stake center there, they could redirect power the other way. So to me, it's really beneficial. And what it has done for our utilities now, if this goes through, we'll have a brand new water line from Cheyenne to Bodine all the way to, or Twin Ridge Bodine all the way to Cheyenne Drive. The gas company last year came in and brought in a brand new gas line, and so we have brand new gas services all the way, including into our building, and this now provides us upgraded electrical service. So it is truly a win-win for this area and for our high school.
Hey, Jaron.
Yeah.
Can you educate me a little bit? Coming from the IT side, when you open a hole like that, you put in a conduit for future use. Is there anything like that when they do a utility like that, so that we wouldn't have to tear up all the asphalt again if we added something or something went bad or?
A blink. The thing is when you are granting an easement to the power company, they're not really thrilled about running the same utilities within their power. When you go to dig and excavate and stuff, that would be the only thing, is running something within that same trench by the power company.
Interesting you should ask that question. We just discovered a similar situation. So as they're adding the water line up Red Devil Drive right now, just past, well, probably about 40 feet from coming into the jock lot or the north parking lot there's a white 4-inch piece of pipe. We don't have any clue. It happens to parallel CenturyLink's phone line and what used to be Windjammer, or before Windjammer, they're coax. We don't know what's in there. I'm tempted right now to cut the top of it off just to kind of see what's there.
You ever heard of Pandora's box?
Yeah.
I'm really,
Probably H2S.
So, I can guarantee it's not H2S. It's not water. But what happens, unfortunately, and as people, you'd love to have really good red lines in your stuff, but people forget to mark red lines. And so right now I've got a conduit that's going up Cheyenne Drive that I really don't know what's in it. Who owns it? Who's part of it? Is that ours? is at somebody else's. There's no easements for anything.
Is it buried? Is it buried?
It's buried.
How deep?
Well, if it's by the water line,
It's above the water line. It's about, I'd say about 30 inches down.
Oh, okay.
So,
It's not the arrow, is it? No, that's a pitchfork.
so,
That's interesting.
So one question on it.
Yeah.
100% for this, right?
yeah.
But we're going to vote on an easement that is looking to me like it's a blanket easement. Is there an actual exhibit or a legal description of the easement describing what it is, or is it just going to be, we're going to give you the right to run through our property?
No. So Ryan, who's in charge of this from the power company, sent me this late Friday, and I said, hey, I've got a board meeting. If you're going to proceed with this, I've got to get this in front of the board. We will then have Heather from the power company, who's done our easements before. She'll put together a formal easement. I'll have Jeff take a look at it. It's not any different than the easement that you guys approved. I'm trying to think. For them to be able to do the work for the domes and stuff like that. So we'll make sure we have the right legal jargon that describes, hey, you only get this section. And it's, I think this section we could probably say is about a 5-foot easement. What I really like about this easement is that it is in the grass and not in the asphalt. As much as we could, keep it in the grass. Originally, he proposed going in the asphalt. He wanted to actually use the same trench as where the water line, and I said, I wouldn't encourage that. I said, but you need to visit with Lewis and Lewis because they're the contractors, and I said, you need to get permission from Gordon since the city would be taking it over, and he's asked that there's at least a 6-foot separation, and so this definitely gives us a 6-foot separation. So anything that needs to happen, whether it be the Pacific Power side or the city side or Questar Gas, Dominion, whatever they're calling themselves today. So each one of them kind of have an easement within really I'm going to say about a 12-foot section in that area. So yes, we'll get that.
What's the timeline? This summer?
They want to do it this summer. They're going to naturally wait till our water line gets done, and then they've actually, Kent Fife was the one who said, hey, has Ryan talked to you? No? Oh, this is what they want to do. Have Ryan talk to me. So they've subcontracted Kent Fife to come in, and he'll do the trenching and get everything taken care of.
Can we ask Fife to take that curb out along the grass so we can replace it? Sorry. It's in bad shape.
No, I think as we move forward on voting on this, I think we need to make it contingent upon an approved easement or legal description that is approved by Mr. Phillips.
We can bring it back and ratify it July, but this will allow them to move forward.
Yeah, well, I mean, move forward with it. I think it's a good thing. It's just making sure that we have all of our...
Yeah. I think that's great.
I want Jeff to look at it and just make sure everything's good so that we haven't missed anything.
And that way they can get going on it, right?
Yeah.
Just even if they come back and do an as-built of where it's at, and then just we write them a legal description after that point, just as long as we have that document.
Yeah.
So.
Spot on. We don't want to give them everything.
No.
Okay. So, any other questions on this? All right. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you. Moving on to public comments.
Yeah, they left.
They left. I think we ran them all off. So we have no public comments. Okay, we will move on to our action items.
Members of the board, the first item deals with contracts and resignation. We did get one resignation from a very good special ed teacher that we're going to miss. But we have 4 contracts to offer, which almost closes us out in terms of hiring. We're so fortunate if we can keep our teachers for the rest of the summer because other school districts cannot find replacements. So we're in a good place. So we recommend you approve these this resignation and contract.
So what's your recommendations on 2?
Approve the following contracts?
Yeah.
Well, we'll do them separate.
Separate, okay. All right, just saying. Okay, so I need a motion to approve the contracts and resignations under item AI. AI.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second that motion.
I have a second. Any discussions? No discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Moving on to AII.
Members of the board, I recommend that you renew the contract of Superintendent Ryan Thomas for another 2-year contract.
All righty.
We would expect you to.
Surprise, surprise.
So I need a motion to approve AII, the superintendent contract extension.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Mr. Thomas's extension.
Second?
I have a motion, have a second. Any discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Next order of business is we recommend you approve second reading of parental rights, IKAE and IKAER, as discussed earlier.
So I need a motion to approve action item B, approve the second reading of the parental rights, IKAE and IKAE-R.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Recommend that you approve at second reading policies JO and JOR, dealing with student records. JOE, sorry, Joe.
I need a motion to approve the second reading of the student records, JO and JOE.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve student records JO and JO-R.
You know, dash E, there you go. So I have a motion,
Second.
I have a second. Did you get both of them?
Who's the second?
Yeah. Any discussions? None? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Members of the board, we recommend that you approve on first reading the Title IX policy, which is, I'm going to forget, what was that policy?
It is, I agree.
ACA and ACAA.
ACA and
ACAA.
ACAA. We might get a little pushback on this one, Mr. Thomas. I need a motion to approve action item D, approve the first reading of the Title IX ACA and ACAA.
So moved.
I'll second it.
So I have a motion and I have a second. Any discussions? None? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Yep.
Won't come out of my mouth. Not approving that.
Okay. I don't need to call, roll call. So, it's approved then. The ayes have it, first reading.
Approve first reading of policy IKF, IKFR, and IKFA.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the first reading of policy IKF, IKF-R, and IKFA.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second that motion.
I have a second. Any discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Final approval for tonight is F. Recommend that you approve the Rocky Mountain Power easement to be finalized in July once we get the final documents. But this approval will allow them to move forward.
Okay, I need a motion.
Second.
Tired of hearing me? Any discussion? You waited till the very end. You could have gone through all them things.
I was
and then
the
just like,
second.
you got a second?
I'm second.
You're second? Okay. Any discussions? Nothing? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Good. Just woke you up.
So moving on to round table.
That's all.
I thought I'd be first that time and just say so moved.
So moved, so we're gonna, no. Any discussion, any comments from the board at all? Roundtable discussions?
Nope.
Nothing? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we
Mr.
adjourn.
Chairman,
Yes.
one comment.
Oh,
Just to
no.
remind the board, early August 6th is the designated date for, it's a Tuesday, the board retreat with administration to begin looking at goals for the 24-25 school year. So just kind of set that date aside. And just let us know if you're coming.
Versus
So just, well,
Right here.
Right here.
I need a motion to approve the board retreat to Hawaii.
I might be skipping my Lake Powell trip for that.
Yeah, you might, okay, anyway, that was a joke, everybody. So, let's clarify that, that was a joke. But we now need to go back to, I need a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second, any discussions? No discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.